And we are live! Welcome to the Crafty Boys, where a bunch of old dudes drink beer and talk about crap, and that's pretty much the entire show. If you don't like that, then watch anyway, because beer's beer, man. Drink some.
You know, it's about time that a bunch of white middle-aged cisgendered guys get a chance to be heard, right?
Hey, man, don't label me. Don't label me. I'm a lesbian
No.
because I like women.
But really, I mean, I think everybody appreciates that we're really, challenging the stereotype by doing a show about beer.
Oh yeah, there's
Right.
these types of shows are so rare. There's no you can't really do shows about beer that often, and we're just proving the fact that there's definitely we're breaking the mold. So
Oh yeah.
today's
I mean,
beer.
I'm a sensitive guy. I go out and change my own oil and drink my beer and I don't know where I'm going with this, so just continue on.
Well, I'm just going to break in. So the beer that myself and Alan have is called the Desert Dweller. It's a dry hopped lager, a classic lager with only the malted barley, hops, water, and yeast. Made only with, I don't know what else they'd make it with, uh, uh, Abandoned Rail Brewing. So,
Where is that?
Locke, what beer are
Yes.
you going to be drinking this evening?
This evening I will be drinking Henderson's Rush. This is
Nice.
a beer in tribute to Canadian rock icons Rush, who,
Peanut
interestingly,
Gallery.
are probably arguably two parts Pink Floyd and one part Iron Maiden. Um,
I can see that.
by T-shirts. See, but as bands go, they kind of broke the prog sort of highly technical weird time signatures, all of that. They somehow managed to make that briefly mainstream sometime in the late
Impeccably
70s,
so.
early 80s.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that there's sort of like a cross between Iron Maiden and Pink Floyd. Gene Simmons from Kiss, who toured with Rush when they were very early on, said that they were Canada's answer to Led Zeppelin. I think more so because
Canada's
of Geddy Lee's
really?
voice, but
I can see that. Geddy Lee does have that
I like
Zeppelin-esque
that
kind of
argument.
feel.
Mm,
All
yeah.
right, so the beer that Alan and I are drinking is this one. It's a dry hopped lager. It's actually got definitely a lager feel, effervescent as hell. No head really to speak of.
no.
But
yet it's sticking. What is there is sticking to the sides of the glass. I mean, I can't really sort of twirl the glass too much here, but
oh, that's interesting.
yeah. Now, Abandoned Rail Brewing is from Penticton, which is apparently the beer capital of BC.
I was told that as well. Not sure if I'm sold on that, but there you go.
And has an 18 IBU rating. It's a family.
You kind of sounded like Christopher Walken there for a minute.
Did I? It's 5.2% alcohol.
Exactly. That's exactly what it sounded like. It. That's awesome.
18 IBUs. It's a family-run brewery farming our own barley on the Naramata Bench alongside the beautiful Kettle Valley Rail Trail. Sorry,
I gotta say, it's well, I mean, there's so many imitations that we can manage, and that knocked it out of the park.
Okay.
As long as you don't have to stick the beer up your ass, I think we're good. This this hunk of metal for 2 years.
Now it's your birthright. So he shoved it up his ass.
So, Locke, how is the Rush Golden Ale?
Well, it's pretty awesome, actually. I gotta say, Henderson. I think as Toronto breweries go, they're maybe maybe them, Amsterdam. Who else? Well, Rorschach, yeah. I mean, arguably they're GTA, so them. But Rorschach for sort of more the sort of the interesting ideas. The other two are sort of giants, right? And so Henderson, like they're a very consistent brewery. Like they always put out uh, tasty, fresh, good product. This is, like it says, a golden ale, bold in sort of flavor, but I wouldn't say it's adventurous at all, really. For a band as that plays, pretty convoluted music, this is relatively straightforward.
Right.
Convoluted music, nice.
So, would you say that Rush just kind of like lent their name to this beer just for shits and giggles without actually?
No, I like that. Now
So
that you tell me
Geddy Lee
that,
isn't actually pouring the hops into the
Now that you're telling me this story about Gene Simmons and them being kind of Canada's answer to Led Zeppelin, yeah, that's it's a little bit, it's slightly hoserish Led Zeppelin beer. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's good old Canadian,
Like there's a
from
little bit of
Southern
that,
Ontario.
come from the yes, you know what I mean? Like it's golden ale. You can sort of hear the sort of distant cry of a Valkyrie, but it's like
It's the kind of
it's
beer you
also
would have had in the 70s at
a little bit hoserish.
Yeah. Yeah. The kind of beer that Bob and Doug McKenzie would have had.
More sophisticated than that, I think, a little bit, but it'd be like Bob and Doug McKenzie if they were practicing black magic.
Although I just noticed something. So you said right off the top that Rush was kind of like a mixture of Pink Floyd and Iron Maiden. Well, I've just noticed Shane and I are wearing Pink Floyd shirts,
a reasonable thought.
and Locke is wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. So that means collectively we're wearing one Rush shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
agree
we're a
with
three-headed
that.
monster wearing a
that
Rush
math.
shirt.
To be honest, that would be kind of what would that look like for creating a T-shirt that was Pink Floyd and Rush? That is something I would like to see.
I don't think I would. But
No, you don't. You wouldn't want to.
No, don't.
Why
no
not?
Mix and match.
No mixing and matching.
No mixing and matching. When it comes to like super groups, no mixing and matching.
Is it like a hard
unless
fast
they're on a
rule,
tour
or-
together and it's a tour shirt? All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, having
So,
said that, I would have loved to have seen Rush in those early days when they were opening for Kiss back in the 70s. And according to Gene Simmons, like the Rush guys were like completely straight laced. Like while all the rest of the bands were out partying late at night, like after the shows were finished, they were partying, they were getting
I think Thin Lizzy made remarks about that too.
Doing whatever, Rush was like, oh no, we gotta go to bed and everything. We gotta get ready for tomorrow's show. And they had no party animal essence to them. I mean, maybe more so than the average Canadian, but as far as like rock bands go, I mean, they were pretty straight laced.
They weren't like the Who would like destroy hotel rooms and shit.
No, they were too Canadian. They were too polite.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you couldn't do that at all.
They probably made the beds in the morning before they left.
So, what did you guys do this week? Like anything exciting? Is there any, you know,
So
wonderfulness that's happened?
I have news. I have a work placement.
Whoa, whoa! This is big news. A work placement. Tell us more.
I am going to be working at a Bracebridge for a legal
What is
clinic.
Bracebridge?
I've heard of it.
So you know where the cottage is up at the lake?
Yeah,
Sort of that neck of the woods. So that's where I'm going to
Oh.
be staying for the next little while.
nice.
Cool.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So yeah, I'm stoked for this. It's going to mean probably a lot of work, and it's going to be demanding. But yeah, this is awesome. I'm very excited.
As long
That
as
is
you
kinda
can
cool.
keep up with the Crafty boys. I mean,
Well, indeed.
this is a
Well,
major
of
thing.
course. I mean, what else would you do?
I mean,
other
priorities,
than
right?
promote us, constantly. You're always on, man. You're always on.
Yeah.
I just want to share with you guys something here really cool. It is a thing I just drew. Here you go. Thank you, AI Art, for giving us what it might look like if you were to mix Rush t-shirt designs with Iron Maiden t-shirt designs. Not sure if I'm totally buying this, but there you go. This is apparently what the AI system thinks of t-shirts for
So
those
what-
two. If
what
those
is
two bands were to merge
Pawn?
together.
Pawn.
Oh, it's random lettering that
Oh, okay.
it doesn't mean anything. But I said, give me t-shirt design, rock band t-shirt designs, mixing Iron Maiden and Rush together.
I would say there's
And
more Iron Maiden in this than Rush.
definitely more Iron Maiden design in here. But yeah,
I'm wondering how Guns N' Roses managed to sneak in there.
Yeah, totally.
yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah, this
definitely
is
some
more of
Guns
a,
N' Roses in there.
Yeah, there's more Guns N' Roses in this. I'd be curious to see like a mix between Pink Floyd and something. I bet you we're gonna see a lot of Prisms.
Let's go. Can you try it?
Give it a shot, Shane.
Sorry, say that again.
Some sort of a mix between Pink
Do a
Floyd
mix mashup with Pink Floyd T-shirts and some other band or some other thing.
All right.
Pink Floyd and
some sort of juxtaposition.
Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin.
Sure. Although I question how much juxtaposition there is between those two.
Did somebody? By the way, for those keeping score, I'm using a thing called Midjourney to do this.
Okay. Is it free?
No. Well, yes. The way I'm doing it is free, but you can pay for it. But I just noticed somebody else, because you're submitting. Oh wow, that's interesting. Oh wow, that's actually quite good. I got to show you this. This is fascinating. Fascinating. So I asked it to give us some additional designs for the mixture of Iron Maiden and Rush, and yeah, Iron Maiden is just taken over. When I requested it to be done again, but here you go. This is a mixture apparently of Pink Floyd and and Led Zeppelin. Definitely more Zeppelin in there, I think.
I don't know about that.
You think it's leaning towards Pink Floyd?
Well, no, I'm not saying that either. I mean,
no. What's weird about it is what it's leaning towards is Richie Blackmore.
Yeah, well, there is that. Yeah.
The one on the top left is very Pink Floyd bent.
Yeah,
So
I agree with Alan on the top left one.
the top right, I can't really see, but you you know the band members of Led Zeppelin all had their own little symbols that they used to
Yeah.
identify themselves, sort of like signatures. And I was thinking that those symbols were represented in there, but now that you've blown it up, I see that they're not. So forget it.
Well, let's see. I just asked it to do that again one more time, and we'll see if it gives me any more decent copies or recreations of what it is. So, but to continue, I was asking if tell me more about this placement lock. Like, if you like, is it a how long are you doing it for?
4 months.
Oh,
And
cool.
what happens after the end?
After the end, then I can tick that off the list of things I need to do in order to become licensed in Ontario.
Here you go. Here's the new recreations.
That plus a passed bar exam means I am a lawyer.
Excellent. We do have a request in the chat from James Quick
All right.
of MagViz.
I was just gonna say James is. Oh, hey, wait! If I go to MagViz right now, will I find? There we go. Pink Floyd and the Wizard of Oz. Oh yeah, I'm down for that. Okay, I'm gonna go do that. You guys carry the show while I'm not here.
All right. So this week, as some of you guys know, if you guys have been watching, James says that they're not ready for the live on MagViz.
Ah, darn.
But if you guys have been watching the show for a while, you guys know that I'm a bit of a classic video game nerd, and so I have kind of like a little home arcade that I've been building. It started off with a Star Wars, like Atari Star Wars machine, and then I made my own machine. Well, I just added an Outrun machine to it.
You did?
I did.
Oh,
wow. How way classic is that?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm going to be my long-term plan is to modify it and turn it into like a super driving cab that's going to play like not just Outrun, but like Daytona USA, Spy Hunter, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty skookum start. What?
It's not done yet. Sorry, keep going. It's kind of awesome.
Is this a Pink Floyd and Wizard of Oz mix that you're
Pink Floyd and Wizard of Oz?
Let me guess. It shows Dorothy like topless, right?
No, none of that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll put that.
Why do you want it to be?
No.
I totally lost where it went. Where did it go? By the way, Mid-Journey is awesome, but really confusing. Okay, here we go. All right.
We're all patiently waiting.
So, whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Let me zoom back out. So here are the 4 versions of a Pink Floyd.
Those are kind of cool.
Wizard of Oz t-shirt. I gotta say, I'm kind of impressed. I mean,
like, I think these are marketable.
Like, look at this. Like, this is all like Tin Man. We've got the cowardly, very angry lion or pissed off Wookiee. Over here, a sad Wookiee. I don't
know what that is.
I'm assuming this is the wizard. Maybe?
I think he was in Star Trek.
This is Jerry from that cut scene from the Wizard of Oz. This is kind of awesome too. This is really all over the place. These ones I love. I think this is my favorite.
The Tin Man.
the Tin Man, I think.
Or
You
the
know,
Scarecrow.
right, the Scarecrow, of course. I mean, this is
He's the
definitely the.
Tin Scarecrow, is what he is.
Maybe that's supposed to be the Scarecrow. I don't know. It's kind of a weird looking Scarecrow, but there you go. That is actually. I gotta say, these are worth every penny were it to be marketed. But
Damn.
yeah, look at
You
those.
could, you
What
Those
could
is
are
the
start a
status?
cool.
t-shirt company.
What is the status of images generated by this program? Like,
Glad you asked.
yeah,
If you are on any of these services that are online for any
yeah.
AI generated art, the terms of service do say very specifically, unless they've changed in the last couple of months. But I read a whole bunch of them just before Christmas because I was very curious. And they all do claim the copyright of any image you create. You're not supposed to use them for any commercial purpose of any kind. But the other thing is they are they basically a perpetual license until forever. You know, the 3 billion year license. Um, However, they do actually have premium services that if you pay X number of dollars per month, then anything you generate will they do release the copyright to the generator, or sorry,
How
to
much
you.
is X dollars per month?
$10, $20, that kind
Oh,
of
that's
thing.
it?
I think upwards of well, because basically a lot of these services, the pay part of it is you're paying to be able to generate more because all of them have a limit. You can generate X number of whatevers up until you hit that number, and then you can't do any until the following calendar month. So,
So
but yeah, I mean, but
is it
there are
mediocre?
some
Does that seem
variations.
like a
Obviously.
flawed business model? Like, wouldn't it make more sense? Let people make whatever the hell they want. And if there's something that they want to license for themselves to use in a
Mhm.
business case, then they pay like a premium of say like $100, $200, maybe even $300 for a lifetime perpetual license for that single image.
You can do that. There's definitely a lot of that. But at the same time, there's a lot of issues. I mean, here's the thing. I used Midjourney. This is the first time I've used Midjourney since October, September when I first started playing around with this stuff. Um, but the reality is that there's no case law in dealing with how these images are generated. The images essentially are generating off of what is called the Leon. No, not Leon. It starts with an L. Sounds like Leon. Anyway, a while ago, several billion. We're talking like 5 to 6 billion, maybe a bit more. Images were scraped off the internet to train the original
Right.
algorithm to go through the machine to learn how to draw stuff. So basically, it basically had several thousand pictures of an apple, and then the system basically says, okay, I've now been told this is an apple. I will then use that information in that image to be able to recreate it with using words. So somebody says apple, grapefruit, giraffe, whatever, and it will take what it knows what those things are, and then it will create something new out of them. The problem is the bulk of those images were used without the permission of the people who own the copyright. So the argument can be made that, hey, well, you didn't get permission from me to use my 75 pictures of an apple to train your system.
Right.
So the big argument, which I think was talking briefly about last
Yes.
time, was about the transformative versus the sorry, what is it? Copying versus transformative, blah blah blah, copyright, fair use, safe harbor, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
However, there's also a problem with these systems, is that the systems are able to do only so much, and do have a chance to recreate images that they were trained on. Now, I'm certain that they are trying to figure out how to not have that happen, because in theory you're recreating something that already exists, even though it's not completely identical. And that's the other caveat, is that even if it recreates trained image, like an image that it knows it was trained on, won't be exactly the same. There will be minor differences and quality issues and whatnot. But anyway, but the problem is this technology is so incredibly new that no one really knows what to do about it.
Well, yeah.
And
Here's a further problem that I can tell you, having read a lot of the case law in the U.S. on copyright. A lot of them use the language of mechanical replication. So mechanical replication, you don't own any copyright, right? And so what we're talking about here, what else could that be unless we're implying some emergent nascent sentience?
well, I mean, that's the thing, is that once this case, the big issue here is there's already case law out there that leans heavily towards these machine learning algorithms or this AI to that it will go their way because of those things, which is why they're trying to figure out right now what are the chances of it replicating something it got trained on. There's a couple of organizations out there that are working on this. However, like Stable Diffusion is the big one. But the other thing is that information, that case law was about the Google thing where they were scanning books. A bunch of publishers and authors got together and had a class action lawsuit against Google. Google won because they were taking books and making them accessible in a different way. They were scanning the books so that they could be sold by the authors if they wanted to go that route. But the rest of it was, here is the title of the book and the author. Here's a couple of pages. Here is what the book is about.
Google win because they're a national champion and they win stuff.
Well, exactly. But the case law in that case was definitely like the technology. It's all about the technology. It's nothing to do with Google, but it's about the technology as being the factor that actually makes it transformative. And transformative in that book author case was that people could find books more readily. Is there a financial thing for Google to do? Of course there is. They're a company and they want to make money. So, they wouldn't be doing it otherwise. However, it wasn't just them. It was a bunch of libraries. Library of Congress was involved. Like a lot of other places were trying to solve a problem that they didn't want to recreate.
Yeah, well, and the other thing to remember is all of copyright law is ultimately premised on the Copyright Act of 1735, I think. And ultimately at the heart of that.
States.
Well, no, not in the States. In England. No.
Okay.
The United States didn't exist in 1735.
I know that.
They weren't united.
I didn't realize.
As in Helsinki, Sweden.
They were our colonies. Is what they were.
But I agree. Like so,
in 1735, the public policy argument was about favoring incentive for people to do creative work. I don't think that the public policy argument operates the same way today. And that's something that I think is due for, somebody to address at some point. And it's not going to come from the U.S. because ultimately it's really, that's all, California and New York have a lot at stake in terms of their position in terms of how intellectual property works. And they're not going to back off that without getting their payout or whatever, right? So
I have a business idea.
Okay.
A brewery.
Okay.
That is completely all the creative stuff, including recipe creation, is done by AI, where we have an AI bot that creates the recipes for the beers, the labels on the cans or bottles or whatever the hell we're using, and maybe even an AI that handles the marketing. Thoughts? Okay, Shane, I want you to put Fat Tug IPA into the algorithm, see what
Okay.
see what it spits out.
Do you want a T-shirt featuring Fat Tug IPA or
Well,
something,
I'm
or what?
thinking a beer label.
Okay. I will ask it.
A beer label for Fat Tug IPA. Let's see if it's better than what exists. I don't have a Fat Tug with me, so I can't show it for comparison, but we could
I
probably bring it up.
have an empty kicking around somewhere if we need to call it up, but let's see what it does.
So I'm just looking at what a lot of the copyright laws around the world and what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So primarily the bulk is life plus 70 years.
Really?
With
Why?
with
I mean,
life plus
life
50.
plus 7. I mean, no.
Yeah.
Look, so to the extent that that mirrors the United States, it's Disney's life plus however many years Disney's
Exactly.
company can get away with changing the law in the United States.
Well, and that's the other thing too that kind of bugs me about this whole situation is we've got a corporation that has been dictating copyright in this country for a long time. And you asked for it, Alan, and here's what you get. So here we are. This is Fat Tug
Yeah,
IPA.
definitely not as good. Not as good.
I love this one. Look at that. It's got 2 beer bottles for like the stacks on
I
a
do
boat.
kind of like it, but it's more of like like an early '90s kind of beer label. But
It
I
is so
like
true.
that. If I had my own beer company, I'd use one of those.
Well, I gotta say they are quite epic, and I think that
Well, you know,
I'll ask it to do one more and see what it comes up with after that.
you know, alter the order of the terms, maybe, or something to change it up a little.
Of the what? No. I'm just asking it to give me 4 more different ones.
4 more iterations. Okay.
So basically, in terms of copyright, there's definitely it's either life 50. There's actually a couple of other ones that are life 40 apparently, but it seems to be 50 and 70 years. There are a few unknowns, but they do have differences. As in, that date does it start on the date of death or does it start on the date of publication? So there's a few differences throughout the globe, but yeah, 50 and 70 are pretty much the very similar. There is one that I think is 95 years. Where was that? 95 years. Jamaica. But the caveat is for authors that died in 62 or later. So prior to that, it was 50. And also some of the laws are different depending on what kind of copyright we're talking about. Is it a photograph? Is it prose? Is it a film, sound recording, etc.? So, however, this is interesting. In India, it's life plus 60, except for posthumous, blah, 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 for works after you're dead, which is actually different. I'm curious what they mean by why is that different. That's interesting. But let's see how our images are doing. Did we get something new? Wow. Okay. Here we go again. Here you are. I don't know what's going on up here, but
Deal with the pig.
there you go. To be honest, what is going on here too? That is
What in the
somebody's large colon.
zoom in on the snail man's face.
Right down here.
What
I think that's
is-
a colon. I think that's supposed to be his intestines.
Is it?
I think it's supposed to be a gourd of some kind, like a
It
pumpkin.
It is. His face is kind of
It's disturbing.
stylized. It's highly disturbing. But what is that there? Gotta say though, but I'm curious as to what this is. Not
Well,
that.
it's a seal
That looks
pig,
like
obviously.
no, but this guy's face. Yeah.
Okay.
That is the best. But that would definitely stop me at the beer store going, what the hell is going on with that label? But there you go. That's
You'd have to have
apparently-
bacon in that beer.
I would agree. And it also appears to be like, these are decanters. Well, I mean, fancy decanters for beer, I guess. Why not?
James Quick says AI on LSD.
It
That's
totally
what it
is. It totally is. Like,
Yeah.
these are some pretty epic ones. Wow. But overall, I mean, these are. I mean, this is the thing.
I'd
is that
use
this
them.
kind of
If I had a brewery, I'd use them.
generate. Here's the argument. Here's the other argument.
Because
rather
it's
than
better
just
than what
copyright,
I could come up with.
is
right?
that why would a brewery not either have a staff member or pay somebody to do it? This is the big thing that's happening right now. Is that a lot of artists who are doing work in the world that are getting paid to do these things and are now actively being told they aren't needed because they're using tools like this.
Yeah.
So because this is this is basically step one of the AI art generating process. A lot of people will take this image, they will say, okay, well, I don't like the face on this guy here, for example. Like they're like, oh, I don't like this guy's face. It's all messed up.
Cleanup work.
You can go in, you can actually say, all right, I'm going to highlight this area, draw it again, just that section that's highlighted. So it leaves the rest of the image alone and just recreates whatever's there. You can also take an image like this, because one of the things for AI art right now, anyway, is that generally speaking, you're limited to 512 pixels across by 512 pixels down, because that was basically the size of all of the training data that was entered into the system. However, you can then take that art and say you create like a skyline of a city, and it's like, oh, cool, I want to see the city further out east and west. I want to see more. So you can actually take these into the system and say, all right, you can highlight the say a 1/4 inch edge of the image and say, now draw it another 512 pixels, and it will take what it takes out of the image it already created, and it will make more of that.
But it's not just in drawing and everything. Like you guys know this, but I don't think we've ever discussed this on the show. But like I do some moonlighting, doing some blog writing for a marketing company down in California, and recently they had me write about a software program that writes. It's an AI program that writes blogs. Like marketing blogs.
Yep.
So I'm writing a marketing
I
blog about a program that writes marketing blogs.
And this is the thing is that
am I like
You've
putting
hit
myself
your
out of work here by writing about this thing?
well, I mean, ChatGPT.
What was it? Harry Buttle? Harry Tuttle? Tuttle or Buttle? Was it Buttle or Tuttle? Huddle? Harry
Tom
Buttle.
Tuttle, Tacoma, Washington.
Wasn't Tuttle in?
I'm talking about Brazil. When the fly and the and as a result, Harry Buttle is convicted for being a terrorist when it was Harry Tuttle or Buttle. I can't remember which one. You've hit your moment, your Kafka moment. You've hit the moment where you just realized, holy fuck, I'm turning into a bug. Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, these tools doing a lot of interesting things. I mean, here's the thing. OpenAI, the organization behind ChatGPT, is one of the organizations who's basically running the largest universal basic income research, because they know this tool that they're creating will eliminate a lot of jobs, like a lot of jobs. It will decimate the writing market in the long term, not immediately, but in the long term, because right now the tool, it works okay, but like anything, give it 5 versions down the road and you will not be able to figure out.
Just reaching a point though where there's no point to read anything, because why wouldn't you just get an AI to read all that
to read it for you?
Yeah, right. Like, why would you read any of that? What would be the point of reading something that an AI has generated?
But here's the thing,
to read that
Locke,
for me, right?
But here's the thing. This was released yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is Google's study paper, or research paper, called Music LM. This is a data set of AI-generated music.
Mm.
And I have to tell you, I've listened to most of these. It is scary how good it is. Like, you would not be able to tell if a human being or an AI generated this stuff. So this is where this technology is going. It's not just images. It is
no. Look,
writing.
I've assumed that that's been the case, for decades now. Like, music, I think, was one of the first to go. Like,
yeah. Well, what do you mean? Elaborate on that.
Most of the ingredients that go into the kind of machine people make music with nowadays can basically operate themselves if you let them. Like, and the, like, coming up with something that's novel and interesting in a classical compositional sense. Well, remember, that's all just raw math. A computer would be better at that than we would, frankly. So, I mean, to me, like, music has always been the bridge between mathematics and the human mind. So it's an obvious place for AI to have been kind of with us already, if you see what I mean. Like, in terms of it's our response to music that ultimately we like to style as us composing music. But ultimately, most of the time, what we're responding to is other people who have composed music in the past. Is it just the music responding to the music at some point? Is it doing that through us? Has it always been doing that?
A very good question. All right. Please write a script for a beer review podcast.
You see, but the problem with that is they don't know what beer they're talking about yet.
Hello, I am Shane from the Crafty Boys. Meep Zorp.
Meep Zorp. Welcome
Meep
to
Zorp.
the Beer Review Podcast, where we will bring you the latest and greatest in the world of
the
beer.
authenticity of our responding to the beer that we're drinking.
Please, what do I always say? Please, I'm always very nice to ChatGPT.
The beer
this is actually here's my write an epic poem of Cthulhu selling ice cream to young children at a park. Like, this thing goes on and on and on, but yeah, I gotta say. So there you go. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Beer Review Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please hit the subscribe button and join us next week for another exciting beer review.
Now
Cheers!
I know why they always say that.
My beer reviewer XG7.
Nanu. Yeah. Well, that's definitely
No. Shazbot.
Shazbot. I mean, this is the thing:
Oh,
is that
speaking of
yes,
which, there
yes.
is a new streaming service. Well, I don't know how new it is, but it's called Pluto TV. It's
Oh yes.
free, and they have different channels for different shows. And there's a Mork and Mindy channel. They just play Mork and Mindy like all the time.
All right. Well, let's. That's actually we can't look at it, but there you go.
No, we
because
can't look at it.
we would be
Oh,
in trouble.
Mindy,
But it's there, so go look for it.
But just to give a little bit of a shout out here, which I think is awesome. I'm going to go over to this little website that you may have heard of. Right over here. And I'm
Website
going
we may
to.
have heard of.
Yes, here we are. So this little website that I've been enjoying and have spent a bit of time on over here is called MagViz. And essentially, if you have been on the D-dial circuit for any amount of time, you are going to find that this kind of website is very cool. But up here in the top left corner, Pluto TV. So essentially, the other day, I logged in and was told immediately, hey, by the way, you should check out the Pluto TV thing. So if I click on that box up in the right corner there, up here, will then become Pluto TV. I don't want to... it's free and I can play it, but the problem is we're streaming on platforms that don't like copyright infringement.
Yeah.
So it's advertised. Really? I can stream that live to... Oh, I'll play it anyway. There you go. So basically,
what can happen? We're not making any money off of this. I mean,
it doesn't matter. We'll still. But there you go. So there's Pluto TV. Drop in and watch for free. So essentially, yeah, this is all the stuff down here. Is all the channels, and you can of course play whatever's up here. I fell down a rabbit hole the other day of unsolved mysteries. Wow. But there you go. Basically, yeah. So that whole thing, and then you have Doctor Who channel, and that's what I got lost in. And but there you go. I'm not actually worried about. I'm not worried about the embedding from Pluto. I'm more worried about YouTube and Twitch being little bitch babies about it. Hey, get in line! The Crafty boys are live. So, but there's all of these things that that you can do with these kinds of technologies, which I'm really kind of getting off on. So, so next time I'll play Pluto TV, and I will have to have to watch Mork and Mindy for 5 hours. That's one of the few shows that I have seen episodes of from back in the day that are actually okay. Like it's like
the
oh,
first
we always
season is. After that, it's kind of.
Oh, really? Do you think
It tails
one of those
off
things?
after that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that that's the case, but I mean, what episode? What season did oh my god, who played his son?
Jonathan
his
Winters.
Kid?
Jonathan Winters.
Oh, Jonathan. Thank you. Yeah, he was kind of
that was season 3.
Oh, season 3.
I don't know that
Okay.
I ever watched that much Mork and Mindy. I know I watched a bit, but it was like, you know, Mork and Mindy.
It wasn't a. No.
I tell you,
Laverne and Shirley too. I don't necessarily remember a lot about it.
Mork, the best episodes with Mork actually weren't in Mork and Mindy. Was actually in Happy Days. When he was on Happy Days, I think it was 2 episodes.
Okay.
He was in Happy Days before, and it's what led to the spinoff Mork and Mindy. But Mork and Mindy was never as good as his appearances on Happy Days. Those were really good.
Really, why not?
I don't know. I think part of it was, Robin Williams was just such a brilliant improvisational actor, and Pam Dauber was not. Uh,
No.
well, I mean, you can see even when you watch those old episodes, you can see Pam Dauber, just start to crack up and stuff because Robin Williams was doing stuff that they never did in rehearsal and going off script, and she was fighting just to keep up with him, I think.
Oh, I think a lot of performers definitely would struggle with that level of improv ability. I mean, there's improv ability, and then there's improv ability. Like, for example, most improv out there, at least that people see on a regular basis on TV or whatever, are the times where it's like maybe 2 or 3 minutes or maybe 5 minutes at a stretch, where his specials, you can see him actually riff off of something completely random,
Yeah.
and talk for 20 minutes about and just builds on top of that idea. It's one of those ones where you can see a story being built, because that's what he was really, really good at, was having the ability to say, hey, I'm going to talk about a zombie apocalypse, and then the character I am is some old dude who then is living in a cave, who is then protecting himself with like force fields or something. Like, it just kept going and going and going and going, and it's fascinating. It's a hard skill. Like, it's really hard. I think a lot of people could talk about garbage for like 51 minutes and 58 seconds, but and not say anything, but having that ability to be able to perform that kind of stuff is pretty cool, I gotta say.
I think Robin
But,
Williams was the birth of AI.
That explains
actually,
why-
I do. Let me see if I can find it. It's one of the first ones that I ever did. When I first started playing a Stable Diffusion. Where is it here? Where is it?
Oh yeah, no, there we go. Mork and Mindy, the video game.
How do we know that's not been done?
It probably has.
See if I can find it here.
The whole game is just trying to land the egg on Earth without cracking it.
It's like
That's
that,
the whole game.
That lander game. That whatever the hell it's called. I know it's here somewhere.
Oops,
somewhere.
Mork's been scrambled. You lose.
That's some really decent stuff in here. It's actually, I'm looking at stuff I did like 3 months ago, and I'm like, wow, this is garbage. And then there's some that I'm like, oh, that's actually really good. Fozzie Bear in Hell, I remember that one. But I did one of Robin Williams sitting in a park on a chair, like on a bench or something. But I might have to find it. Oh, here it is. Here we go. So this one here is, I think, my most favorite thing that I've done using this AI generation stuff. And I did it. It was just Robin Williams sitting in a park I've forgotten the style of painter. I picked a Renaissance painter for this. And it just is, I generated a whole bunch of them. Most of them look like Mike Myers. So this is actually one of the first couple that actually looked like Robin Williams, and like as if it were him. So I just thought it was kind of cool. I mean, it's just a cute little painting. So, yeah, I like it. It's cool. But that's the thing, is that I think stuff like that, and I would do that, just throw it on a t-shirt and I'd wear it around, and but
Totally.
oh, speaking of hang on here. Speaking of Robin Williams, most people hate it, but Popeye was a brilliant movie. I agree. I thought it was actually really good.
Yeah,
It,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the same actress as The Shining. What's her name?
Shelley Duvall.
yeah.
Shelley Duvall. Yes, yeah, she's excellent in that.
I haven't seen it in a very long time, and I didn't like it when I saw it, but
No,
I think I need to give it another shot.
you think that
It's
would actually sell now, though? Popeye is actually in the public domain in the UK.
it inhabits a
So
kind of a
I don't know
weird
about the
territory.
other characters, though.
Like it's trying to do something that's very cartoony using totally practical effects because this is before digital came along, and so it's sort of like nobody would make a film like that 10 years later. Nobody would have made a film like that 10 years before. It inhabits an interesting historical point in filmmaking, right?
So
I mean, kids today don't even know who Popeye is.
no, that is true.
It's true.
That is
It's true
very, very
because
Really?
true.
they
Why?
don't show
Is
the
there something,
cartoons on
oh
TV.
my God. Is there something wrong with spinach? Is it like non-green to be
I
spinach?
don't think that has anything. I don't think there's anything that's socially wrong
Oh,
with it.
no,
I
no,
think
no,
it's
no,
just
no, no,
old.
no. Actually, I would have thought spinach. I would have thought the kids would be all over spinach because it'd be like, no. That'd be back when marijuana was still illegal. Yeah, back when it was still illegal, it would be like, yeah, spinach, man, spinach. I'm very into spinach.
It wasn't so much the spinach. It was like the spinach was in a can, and could just
Oh yeah,
like
no, you're right.
squeeze
It's
the
wrong
can
to
and
put things
pop
in
it open,
cans.
and
Yeah,
that's what I
cans are
wanted
wrong.
to do. I just wanted to squeeze that can open, and the spinach would just come out into my mouth. Right, it would just kind of like go in an arc, into my mouth. Right, that's what I wanted. And when it didn't work like that,
James just mentioned about the Popeye Village, and I actually looked this up not too long ago. Yes, I accept your cookies. But this here is the original set from the Popeye film. And it's still around. It's a tourist attraction. It's on the island of Malta. And I guess I'm assuming some tourism bureau or somebody who lives there said let's keep that going, and so you can actually go and visit that. Now, I don't know how many people
totally need to go to Malta.
younger than us would actually care, but if I ever go to Malta, I think I'm gonna have to go if it's still around.
well, I'll tell you,
And
for
check it out.
long existing sets, the sets from 1977 Star Wars are still around in Tunisia.
Tunisia. Huh.
Yeah, they're a little worse for wear.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's been over 40 years.
so the apparently
You can find them on Google Earth.
That's actually what I'm doing. I'm going to bring them up here with the whoops. With the
Now they didn't reuse the same Lars Homestead when they made the prequels and the sequel series, right? I don't think.
Yeah, so here we go. So Mos Espa apparently is a thing. Yeah, here we go. Really? Wow, this is kind of amazing.
But Mos Espa was from the prequels. So
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
much later.
But the fact that there's still a bunch of stuff there, like that just kills me. Time Google.
Actually, there's some there's some very crazy ruins out in the desert in California. Early 30s attempt to make an Egyptian epic. They were reputed to have destroyed all the sets and gotten rid of them all so that nobody could use them for another film, right? But turns out they didn't actually destroy all of them, and a bunch of them, they just buried them. And so there are weird Egyptian ruins starting to poke out of the sand in California desert.
Photo. Oh, there we go. So basically, yeah. So you can actually go and visit Mos Espa today. So
Sweet.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, you
That's
can
cool.
tell they're falling apart, but still, why not? I mean, that's the thing. The Popeye village was sort of maintained almost like a historical monument to a degree. But there are photographs of the original sets that basically have fallen apart. But you can tell what they are if you know what you're looking at. But I don't know. I guess this is one of those weird things where we're maintaining or hoping capturing whatever we want stuff that is not that old. They're made to look old. They're made to look like they're in a certain environment. But overall, they don't necessarily. They're not like preserving an archaeological site. I mean, maybe in 500 years, sure, okay, maybe. Oh wow, the set for this film made 528 years ago.
So here's the thing, St. John's Gate in London. It is literally a gatehouse. It used to be the gate out through the walls of the city to St. John's Monastery, right? After the dissolution of the monasteries, frankly, Henry VIII used it to store his tents. Now, if you know anything about Henry VIII and tents, when he stored tents, this is a man who took tents to another level. When they did Field of Cloth of Gold, the reason it's called Field of Cloth of Gold is because back in the days when they actually used gold and cloth of gold, he made a field of tents of cloth of gold along with a palace constructed to look like a palace of stone and mortar that was just a big tent. So when we say that it was used to store his tents, the man had some tents. But it was, yeah, exactly.
How many tents does this guy need?
Yeah, well, exactly, right? But you know who put all of that to use? Because you know who inhabited the same building not very long afterwards? William Shakespeare.
Really?
Yeah. And so I want you to think about those tents, and I want you to think about William Shakespeare in the beginnings of the tradition of theater in English, as it's come down to us today. And I want you to think about, at some point, that was just, why would anybody preserve? It's just a bunch of fucking tents, Why do we care to keep any of those around? Those are old and moldy, and just throw them out. But ultimately, at some point, that was part of the image, part of the stagecraft of state itself. And today, I don't think it's actually that much different. I think some of these things that, like the Star Wars set in Tunisia, were things that ultimately have their moment in history as part of the tools that were used to create an image, an idea, a mind space that guided a generation in a direction that I think we're still very much on.
On that note, it is now really late for Locke.
Yeah.
So it is time for us to call it a night.
I will eventually, like next week, be getting up at 8:30. No, I will be arriving at work at 8:30 in the morning. That's after an hour. I'm going to be getting up at 6:30 in the morning.
So we might have to start earlier. Okay.
So we might have to start
and then there's Alan who's like, oh my god. But we'll see you all next week. We, of course, will be doing more of the Phillips Brewing Space Case. and whatever beer we have next week, I have no idea. But thanks for watching. Thanks for coming and checking things out. What's our schedule? Generally, it's about 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights. However, since Locke's schedule is changing and he has to be all responsible and stuff because he's in Toronto and it's now 1 a.m. there, we might have to start a bit earlier. So hopefully we can work that out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that next week. Otherwise, until next time, drink beer. And then actually don't drink it. Just give it to us, and we'll drink it.
We'll drink it for you.
And exactly, because beer's dangerous now. Didn't you hear what Justin was saying? So we'll see you all guys next week. Thank you, and bye bye. I forgot how to do the thing. There it is. Yay!